G'day folks, you're listening to the podcast It's the Whiskey Talking with Harrie and Craig. In this podcast we take a light-hearted look at our current favourite whiskey, things that have got us thinking lately, other things that just pop into our heads while we're talking, and matters that have slowly taken on more significance as we ease our way into the last third of our lives. So kick back, pour yourself a pleasing beverage, and join us on our search for wisdom, thinly disguised as mates having a bit of a banter. G'day, Harrie.
Hey Craig, how are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very, very good, thank you.
Feel like a drink?
I certainly do.
What do you got for me this week?
Well, today I brought you a local. It's a distillery in East Perth called Whippersnapper. They've been around for, probably, I can't tell you exactly, but probably at least 10 years, I think. And what we've got is the Upshot, which is one of their lines. This one's Upshot Australian Corn Whisky. So there's corn, wheat, and barley in there, but it's actually, I think, well, I can tell you now, I've actually tried it before I brought it over, so it's very nice, and I'll be interested to see what you think. It's got,
It looks like whiskey.
Smells like whiskey.
Smells like whiskey. Smells actually very nice.
It's actually got a bit of a, I think probably might be the corn, I'm not sure, but it's got almost like a bourbon type flavour to it.
Very nice. It's very mouth-filling taste.
Yeah, it says expect rich vanilla, caramel and dark fruits on the palate, followed by a smooth finish of butterscotch. I'm definitely getting butterscotch notes. And chocolate, delivering a perfectly balanced sweet sensation. And unlike most bandits, you won't want to keep this one hidden. That's the name of this particular one. It's called Upshot Bandit. I was also reading through some of the specs on it before. It has a char rating of 3, and my research says they normally have a char rating between 1 and 4, 1 being light charred, 4 being more charred or highly charred. Charring is just where they get the barrel and they burn it or char it, as it suggests, with a naked flame. So the more char, I guess the more smoky flavour.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a 3 out of 4, this one. It's very nice.
Definitely got a bit of smokiness in it.
Very pleasant. And as I said to you earlier before, you're lucky there's any left, because I did actually open this a while ago, and it's been my favourite at the moment.
Well, that's testament to its quality that it's going down quickly.
We've got a little bit left, so we might have another one after the show.
Yes. All right, well, we'll make sure it's a short show then. So anything been on your mind this week, Harrie?
Yes, mate, been busy, obviously, as with last time, busy with work, but also busy with extracurricular activities. We purchased a caravan. I don't know if we mentioned previously, purchased a caravan, and we're expecting to get it delivered. We're expecting delivery probably, it's now, today is, I guess, middle of August. Expected to get it probably middle of September, late September. I got a phone call from the guys a week or so ago saying it's ready, which is very exciting, ready for collection, but unfortunately caught us a little bit on the hop, in that we've still got to prepare an area to park said caravan. We've got space at our home block, but no concrete pad or cleared area or anything, so we've been doing that. I'm pouring concrete first thing tomorrow morning, and picking up the van in a week's time, so I don't know if I'll be able to park the van on there for a couple of days after we get it, but we'll find somewhere to park it. So I've been busy with that. That's taken up a fair bit of time, so moving into the retirement phase, a la caravan. And also grandkid duties. Our granddaughter's been spending a lot of time over our place the last week or so. My daughter's not been well, and so she's been and the son-in-law's been busy working. So it's been busy, but it's been a wonderful thing. She's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm, as mentioned before, enjoying being a granddad or pop.
Much more pleasant than digging up the backyard to stick concrete in, that's for sure.
Exactly, but both has to happen though. Both have to happen.
So I was thinking, last week we talked about our origin story, so how you and I had become friends and been friends for so long, but we didn't actually say anything about ourselves and what we've been doing individually for the last 30-40 years. How about you go first?
All right, mate. I've been doing the same. I guess I've been in finance all my life. After trying to become a psychologist like yourself, but not doing real well at university, and finding that the psychology was great, but the rest of the courses were pretty ordinary. So got into finance, and have been in finance ever since, and for the last 34 years as a mortgage broker. When mortgage broking first started, it started here in Western Australia, and we were within one of the first companies. I still enjoy what I do. I obviously must be all right doing it. I've still got very, very loyal clients I've been dealing with for a long, long time. I'm now in third generation of some families that I've been working with, which is, I guess, it's a great thing to follow the families and watch the kids grow up and help the kids. And then you get this phone call from the parents saying, I'd like you to speak to my son or daughter. They're looking to buy a house, and I'd like to give, if you can help them out. And I'm always amazed when I get the phone call from the said daughter or son saying, oh look, I want to speak to you about buying a house. I don't know how the conversation actually starts at home, whether mum and dad say, oh, you're looking to buy a house? Go to speak to Harry. And I would have thought the first conversation from the first reply from the kids would be, why do I want to speak to an old bugger like that for? What's he going to tell me? But they call and we get the job done. So it does work well. I'm getting to a stage now which is probably quite pertinent to this podcast, where I've been doing this for such a long time, had such a lot of so many colleagues that have now gone through, been around nearly as long as I have, but I've now left the industry and retired. So I won't be far away. I mustn't have done all that well, because I would have retired a while ago if I'd been able to, but I keep saying it's because I enjoy it, which I do. But at this stage I'm not financially ready to retire, but maybe ask the same question in 4 or 5 years, I might be in a different situation.
And I can attest that a large proportion of my family have gone through Harry for mortgage advice and mortgage help. So he's done really well for my family, at least, and my friends.
Yes, it's been a very, very, very good referral source, Craig. Thank you very much.
So my origin story in terms of my career, so just as we started primary school together, Harry and I started university together, and we lasted a year together, I think, before you went off and did something else.
That's right. Yes, so I did go to university.
So I started off studying physics at university, although I did do a little bit of psychology in my first year, but soon found that aiming to be an astronaut really wasn't in my bag. I am still surprised that was my first ambition, because I'm petrified of heights. I don't think I would have ever lasted with the basic training. So I went but I did like psychology as I went through, and so stuck with that, and did pretty well. I did my honours degree and PhD, and then got a postdoctoral fellowship, and then travelled around Australia a bit to pick up academic jobs. First at Armidale, New South Wales, and then on the Gold Coast of Australia in Queensland, and then back to Perth. And I've been in this current position at Edith Cowan University since 1997, and it's a long time. Yeah, it's coming up to it's just clocked over 28 years. Yes, so far very much part of the furniture, although the furniture's starting to get moved around a bit.
Yep, yes, I see that happening. So
you start feeling like a dusty old chair that's been pushed into the corner somewhere and no one wants to sit on it anymore. So that's what I've been doing for the last God knows how many years. And that sort of brings me up to a special treat we've got today. We mentioned in the last episode that we were going to have some guests appear on the show to give us their perspective of what the last few years of life, last third of life is. I heard the other day a much better one. You didn't like the last third of our life, so how about this one? Yeah. Our remaining good years.
That's right.
The RGYs.
Remaining good years. We hope that all the years are good.
Yeah, that's right.
The last remaining ones especially.
So some of my family live in a different state to me. So my brother and my father both live in Victoria. And
when you say state, mean geographically?
Yes, sometimes we're in exactly the same state, particularly when we get together.
That's right.
So I went and visited them for a holiday a couple of weeks ago, and thought that I would interview them. So in a later episode, my brother's going to appear, and his wife was so interested in what we're talking about that she said, well, why don't you interview me? So she's going to appear too. But we thought we'd start with the senior member of the family first, and so my father's going to start talking in a minute. And it's interesting, my dad's story. So he was born in Indonesia of a Dutch colonial family,
as was my mum.
That's right. So another common thing in our backgrounds. And after the World War II, the family went to live in Holland or the Netherlands for a few years, and then they emigrated to Australia. And so my father came out here at the age of about 14 or 15, I think it was, and couldn't speak a word of English. And so he went through high school and managed to learn very quickly. He had a couple of very sympathetic teachers, I think, and then tried a few things, but then settled as a cadet reporter on the daily newspaper. It was called the Daily News, the Daily News paper, which was quite astounding for someone who had only started speaking English a few years earlier. And so that was in 1958 that he got his first job as a journalist, and was still working as a journalist up until only about 10, 15 years ago, I think. But yeah, it's been quite amazing that most of his working life as a journalist, he was correcting other people's English. Quite amazing. So we're going to hear him talk a few reflections about what retirement means, but also what life in the later years it looks like. And I do apologise for the differences in sound quality. I think I've almost mastered recording in our wardrobe for Harrie and I. It doesn't sound too bad, but recording on location sounds like it's recording on location. So it's not for very long, and just try and focus on the words. Thanks, Dad, for agreeing to have a chat to us. So as you know, Harrie and I, we're interested in what life is like from this point on for us. And you've obviously been through that. So we're interested to hear lots of people's perspectives on what this sort of life is like. Sometimes we'll probably be focusing on retirement more than other issues, but it's not necessarily about retirement. It's just simply about ageing, I suppose, and what that means for people when they get to that point. So I've got a couple of questions for you. I'm hoping that, I'm sure that you'll have reflections on them, but even if you don't have anything to say, then say pass. That's fine as well. There are no right or wrong answers here, that's for sure. So I'll start off with some work/retirement type questions. And I guess, these are in no particular order, but one that we have thought about ourselves is in terms of preparing for retirement. I know your history, I know a fair bit of it, and there really wasn't a point where you would have said, I've retired from working anymore. So I guess for you, was there any sort of preparation that your work place gave you for this idea of retirement, or was just so?
No, there was no preparation at all.
No.
And I never planned to retire like that in any case, because when I took redundancy, I already had part-time jobs lined up elsewhere.
Uh-huh. Fair enough. So you said you never really planned to retire. Why do you think that was? What was your thinking about retirement as a concept?
I was horrified by the thought of it.
In what sense? What was it about it that you feared?
I thought I'd be bored shitless.
Yep. And is that because you saw other people's retirement and thought that's not what I wanted, or?
No, not really. It was just the idea of not having to go, not having work to go to. Very active mind.
Yep.
It just didn't appeal to me.
So, I know what your. So you've been a journalist for a long, long time.
57 years.
Yep, so I saw the first offer of the first job offer you got was 1958. I think it was dated last
Yes.
time. So that's a long time to be working in journalism. So do you see yourself as a journalist before just anything else?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, when you've done it so long, it's built into your mind.
Yeah. And so just about every job you've done since that point has been journalism, I suppose.
No, not really. What I'm doing now is certainly not journalism.
So do you miss being a journalist in that, or at least being paid to be a journalist?
You should ask my wife that. She says I'm always a journalist.
Yeah, well, I guess there's always language to be corrected, isn't there?
There is. Especially if it's on telly.
So do you think then that might have been part of the issue with fearing retirement, was fearing not being able to be a journalist anymore?
No, there was no fear involved. It was just... well, apart from journalism, I didn't really know what else to do, and that's why I did a lot of journalism still part-time after I retired officially.
Yeah.
But then I was offered this little part-time job, and it's really good because it keeps me occupied.
Yep. So in terms of retirement or just moving to this later phase of life, has there been anyone in your experience that you've thought, gee, they're having a really good experience in retirement and you'd like to emulate that? Or in fact, anyone who has been the opposite, you didn't want to do anything like what they were doing?
No, not really. Can't think of any. Either way. Some of my former colleagues still trying to do some journalism work. Some of them are not doing any. No, I've been lucky, I guess, that I've been able to work and keep on working.
Yeah. So what about those people? The other things that they do with their life. I mean, have they done things that you thought, or at some point, gee, I'd like to do some more of that they're doing, or?
No, because I've always been quite happy with what I'm doing. But Mike Daly, for instance, he still wants to write for the local little paper. Tony Dividend is a big deal in the local yacht club, and he plays a lot of bridge with friends. But I don't lust after any of that.
So even when you were working as a journalist full time, how would you sort of characterise your work-life balance? I mean, in terms of things that were outside of work, was there any other things that you were involved in?
Again, I was lucky in that I had a lot of opportunities to do other things like music writing and reporting footy and stuff like that. But when I was a full-time journalist, I'm ashamed to say it always came first.
Yep. Well, it sounds like even that things that you just characterise as being outside of that work was still part of that work, wasn't it?
Yes, they were.
It was all still writing about those things.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that might be part of what you were concerned about, the concept of retirement, was that even the things that you were doing that you considered to be outside of work was still part of work. So that if work disappeared, you'd lose all of those things.
Well, no, not really. You can still watch television and listen to music, and if you want to go to the footy, you just don't have to write it down.
Yes, fair enough. So what about in general about life issues? So health and things like that. Have you got any lessons for living a long life?
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke. Yep, I think that isn't it. Yul Brynner, wasn't that his famous saying? Whatever you do, just don't smoke. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. So, Dad, what are the other things that you've been doing since you sort of gave up full-time professional work as a journalist, and anything that's not writing sort of things? What else have you been using your time for?
Well, I've always been a very keen reader, and I do a lot of that. I read a lot of books. I read the New York Times, I read The Age, I listen to a lot of music, and when given a chance I watch a fair bit of television.
And travel?
Yes, we do usually have 1 or 2 trips a year. Like next month we're going away for just a week, but it's a driving holiday through Gippsland in Victoria. We like doing that because we've decided we're not going to travel overseas anymore, we're too old.
Yep. Fair enough.
And I can't stand the thought of having to sit in another aircraft.
Yes, kids training. The romance soon dies.
Yes.
Romance of flying. Isn't it?
Oh, and of course, we also have always had dogs to walk.
Yes, and not just walk, but just to look after.
Yeah, and we take our present dog Dora just about everywhere we go. She's very good at restaurants. Cafes, I mean, and there she is. She's just going to talk.
Name, I think. Yes. She might be here in a minute. Right on cue, here she comes. And what about friends? I mean, do you do something regularly that you see friends, or is it more just sort of sporadic type?
No. We do have lunches with friends. We don't bother too much about dinners these days.
Yep.
But quite a few lunches, and there's we do have reunions from the age.
Yep.
Which are always entertaining. And funerals, of course.
Yes. A great way to catch up with friends.
A bit late. Yes, but I can't stress the importance enough of having a dog around, to us anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it in many respects, I can only guess, it helps you to not focus so much on yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You told us that you still do some paid work, a couple of days a week. So what do you do in the rest of the time? Do you have any hobbies?
I do have hobbies. Well, for starters, I've got to walk the dog twice a day, which takes up a fair amount of time. We often go and have a coffee at a potato cake. I did join a woodworkers club, and I was there for at least 5 years, once a week, until I basically ran out of projects. But I made a big barbecue table, 3 bedside tables, a mailbox, about 3 jewellery boxes, some cutting boards, and as I said, I ran out of projects, so I stopped going.
Could have built a bridge or something.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the time when someone retires or they stop their work in their usual way, their roles at home can change, and this can then create some conflict with their partner. Now, I know you've never really retired in the classic sense, but I wonder if you can tell us how these things may have changed for you and your wife over the years.
Not a great deal, really, because when we first got together, I was working nights and she was working days, so we were like ships passing in the night. And we each had our own things to do around the house anyway. Like, for instance, I'd vacuum clean, or she'd look after the washing, or stuff like that. So it's always been divided like that, and it still is. And it works very well, even though we now work the same. Well, she's retired as well now, so we're both. But she also does her own thing. She volunteers at the local information centre, and she goes walking and. Yeah, it's we both find plenty of things to do.
So you're never sitting bored then?
No, never.
No,
never.
Okay.
Because, well, among other things, we're both very keen readers, and we watch television, listen to music. There's always something to do around that. She's the gardener, I'm not.
Yep.
So I probably do a bit more cooking now than she does, and she does a lot more gardening than I do.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. So you've had a lot of work colleagues over the years, and you stayed in touch with many of them since you left the age.
Yes.
Have you noticed any that have coped, or that haven't coped well with retirement, or have coped well?
No, most of them, the ones I deal with, they've coped very well. David, for instance, has virtually taken over the local bowling club, and he looks after the bar and stuff like that. And he also now does rosters for the players. So it takes up a lot of his time. He's very hard to get hold of sometimes. Mike, he still does some music for the local giveaway paper. But in a previous marriage, he wasn't never allowed near the kitchen, and now he does most of the cooking, and he absolutely loves it.
Oh.
And my other friend Tony, he spent a lot of time with the local yacht club. He was getting a bit too old to do the yachting himself, so he started running the power boat, the safety boat.
Yep.
And he also spends a lot of time playing bridge.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it speaks to everyone's adaptability, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know, if you look around, you can find something to do
Yeah.
instead of sitting on your bum.
So we've sort of touched on this next one a little bit in that you still feel that although you're not working as a journalist, you still see yourself as a journalist. So in some sense, I'm guessing that for you, your time at The Age was probably the best of all of the jobs you've ever had.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So here's a little something to ponder or a little fantasy. If it was possible by magic or other means that you were given a younger body and The Age wanted you back, would you go back?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Although I wouldn't be, there have to be a lot of adjustments to technology these days. It's too far gone for me.
That's right, everything moves on, doesn't it?
Yeah. But look, you know, my first years as a cadet and so on the Daily News in Perth, they were terrific fun as well because I was learning an awful lot, obviously.
Mm.
Yeah. So, but it's been fun. A lot of fun and games. I mean, as you know, I've worked in Sydney, I've worked in Melbourne, I've worked in Perth, I've worked in Hong Kong. So there's plenty of variety.
Yeah. Oh,
And to have done 57 years in one profession is not bad going, I reckon.
Yeah, I'll say. Well, I'm just about to touch 40 years in mine,
Right.
and I don't think I'll make 50.
And that's only the full time.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, I think that might do us. I think it's great to hear your reflections on what it's like to move into a different phase of life. So, thank you very much, Dad.
My pleasure.
All right. Well, that was pretty interesting. There are a few things that came up in that conversation that struck me as interesting. I mean, I'd have to say, given that he's my father, not much of it was a surprise. But I think in terms of the conversation we've been having about retirement and sort of later years and what goes on then, I think there are a couple of things that, to me, that were remarkable. And I guess the most important thing was that my dad feels like he has never really retired. He's always kept working in some way or another, and he's 87, and it doesn't sound like he has any intention to stop working until he gets forced to.
And the fact is that he's actually working. I mean, he's such a journalist. It's so embedded in him that everything he does relates back to him being a journalist.
Yep.
And I think that, I know he does that the volunteer job on the side that he's doing now that has nothing to do with journalism, which is an interesting thing in itself. But I think he's always thinks like a journalist and always will be a journalist, whether he's working and being paid or whether he's just working as a journalist. I think, as you're probably going to say a bit later on, I think epitomises. I know he said that he's not fearful or wasn't fearful of not working, but I think, for me, reading between the lines, I think he was, and I think he just didn't want to stop working, or maybe not stop working, but didn't want to stop being a journalist.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. It was someone taking his identity away.
Yes, exactly.
And so even now, when he's not actually working as a journalist, so that his job is not related to journalism, but he gets money for doing something different, he still, in many respects, does journalist type behaviours. So, for instance, late at night, he'll still read the New York Times from cover to cover, and and still want to keep on top of things, because for the particular job that he was doing, which was sub-editing, he needed to be aware of things, so that if a journalist wrote a story, he would have some idea as to whether they'd made a big mistake or not. And so he just constantly feels like he has to keep on top of all of that. Which is very, very interesting.
It is very, and it's, I suppose, in this whole new world that we're in now, I wonder how he feels. I mean, obviously the fact that trying to, I guess, trusting the information you're getting now is getting harder and harder to do, I think, because you just don't know where's the true source, who do you trust anymore, and so that must be hard for him. And I think part of him probably maybe is glad that he's retiring and moving out of it, because it is just the fact checking and it's crazy, and you can't, sources you thought were reliable you don't know anymore.
Yeah, and I know that he's stopped reading certain papers because he's started to doubt the veracity of what's being put there. It's something we all have to grapple with. What's the truth in any of the information we get? The other thing that was clearly important and probably resonates with you was the importance of pets.
Yeah, exactly. I picked that one up too when I listened to it. Yes, definitely. I think the pet things, and if you ask me, I don't seem to think that it has any great impact on me, but I know that it does. I know that Tracy, my wife, says that it does, and I know that even through the work, through COVID and everything else, well, not even COVID, when I was working from home, having the dog there having Coda there, our dog, it's a comfort, that you don't even know that you know, basically. It's there, and I think you would notice if you didn't. And I know, listening to your dad, he really relies on that. I mean, he leans on that.
Yeah, I think it's the sort of thing that just gets them out of bed at times. Dad does stay up late at night, and it's a bit of a struggle for him to get up in the morning, but I know that he never just sleeps in and thinks, I'll just stay here for much longer. He knows the dog has to go and be walked, so that gets him up, gets him out, and goes. And as he said, I think I've been there with them many times where they go for a walk and then they go and have a coffee. Yeah. And that then leads to some sort of social interaction,
exactly,
either with the
which is important too.
People who run the cafe or other people who visit it. So, yeah.
Well, I suppose that the other side of that is too, I think, obviously, your dad's dog, it gets him to go out, so that's an important part, because you could go the other way too. You could be home with the pet and have nothing else. And, totally unrelated, but stats I heard the other day at San Francisco, I can't remember what the percentages were, but the number of single person households in San Francisco is just, it's ridiculous. It's 7 in 10. It's a stat I can't, but when they compared it to a census from, say, 15, 20 years ago, it was the other way around. So, but virtually all of those single households have a pet.
Wow. Yeah, well, it's great that those people have something like a pet, but it's so sad that they live alone, and also so wasteful of resources.
Exactly.
I saw something recently where I talked about the housing crisis here in Australia and talking about the number of houses that have spare bedrooms.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't think that anyone was suggesting that everyone be forced to take on a boarder, but it is really a waste of a resource.
That's right. And how do we know that taking a boarder is not a positive? I mean, especially if you get to the stage where you are on your own, and when, for ourselves, moving into that last third or whatever it is of our lives, that we can't do. Sometimes we can't do things that we used to be able to do. And I know even, with the pouring the concrete tomorrow, I'll be running a wheelbarrow. I know that I can. I know I'll be sore for days afterwards, but even asking some of my friends that I know, I think, well, maybe, they've just come out of hospital, or this has just happened, and everything else. So you don't have, you're not as able to do what you could do, and it wouldn't hurt, if you had spare bedrooms, you had someone living there who was younger and able to help you move the fridge when you had to move the fridge.
Yep, give you a discount in your rent this week.
We just have available.
The other thing that I picked up on from Dad's conversation, I asked him the question about partner roles and whether that that all changes in retirement, which he says he hasn't retired, but he was fairly clear that when he did used to work full time, he was a night shift worker, and his wife works traditional hours, so they always had different roles anyway. And so I think what's happened to them since he's changed his working life, the roles have pretty much just sort of moved along. They've pretty much complemented what they used to do. I think not much has changed there.
No, and that's probably a good recipe to do retirement with a partner. You want to be able to still continue on, just not working, but doing something together. Or if you were not doing it together, do what you were doing together. Continue to do together, and do something that you're not when you're not. But because I think that's probably a fear that probably a lot of couples have too. A lot of couples have been working probably same time of the day, weren't home, and the fear is, what am I going to do when I see this person all day, every day?
Yep.
So none of you I share, by the way.
So one of the so so you talk about the fear of, what's going to happen when, you finish working where you're working, you go into retirement. And maybe one of the big messages that's come out of what Dad was saying, although I don't think he planned it this way, but I was reading an article during the week from the Barefoot investor, Scott Pape, and he was his big message for people thinking about retirement is to treat retirement like a job. And what he meant by that was to plan what you are actually going to do in retirement.
And on a daily basis as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be sort of down to 9 to 5 and prepare a timetable, but think about the activities and the sorts of things you're going on. And one great quote that I saw from him in that story was this. He said, I've had thousands of conversations with retirees, and I can tell you the happiest ones are not those with the biggest superannuation balances. They're the ones with purpose and a plan. So, I guess the idea is don't think of retirement as just stopping one thing and then it's just blank and you've got to fill in the gap somehow. It's actually, I'm going to stop doing this, but I'm going to start doing this, or continue doing these other things that I'm already doing, but do them more. So actually think about it as a transition to a different phase rather than a complete end to something, and then you just...
And I think those that I know that have done it successfully have done that, and that's the model I'm going to be looking at. I think that, I'm probably really only working 4 days a week now, and it'll drop down and I'll replace that extra day with something else that I do, whichever it's going to be. So you actually transition, you don't just suddenly stop. And I think, as I spoke to you the other day about, I've got a potential guest coming up who basically he just was told by his employer, what are you still doing here? You should be gone, you should be retired, after working the government job for 40 odd years. And I think for him, he's going to have a bit of almost PTSD of, he's just not going to know what to do, and because he hasn't been able to, I guess, even think about the transition into retirement. And I think that's probably, and even with my wife, she's, I think everybody denies that it's fear. I don't think you can use the word fear, but I think she's concerned about what she's going to do. I don't know what she's concerned about what she's going to do when she doesn't have to do what she's doing now, because she loves what she does as well. So I think that's probably the trepidation, as you say, or fear, that not being able to do what you're doing now. Do I have a purpose? Do I have a reason for being? And I think once you establish that, yes, there is something else you can do, this is not the only thing you're doing, this doesn't define you, then I think you're halfway there.
And I get the sense that a lot of people are starting to realise this. I've seen that UniSuper, the big superannuation fund in Australia, has just released a report where they've done a big survey of people in retirement or thinking about retirement. And one of the statistics from that report, I'll probably talk a bit more about that in future, but this one statistic I think that's relevant. 81% of Aussies said that they plan to keep on working in some way in retirement, whether that's through a new job, volunteering, or flexible hybrid work. So they seem to be thinking, well, I've still got to be doing something.
Yeah, I totally understand. No one wants to sit around and just do nothing. Well, maybe some do. I don't know that I could. I'm comfortable doing nothing for a little while, but then I get uncomfortable. And I'm even thinking, I say jokingly, it probably will be a joke by the time it actually happens, but we're in the caravan, we head off somewhere, I'm happy to go pick fruit if I've got to pick fruit, or work behind a bar, or just do something. But for me, it's not for the money, it's more for the social interaction and doing something physically. And I know, again, when we come to retire, Tracy would be quite happy to go to the gym 3 hours a day every single day of the week. It's not my gig. I'll find something else to do.
Yes, we've all got things that we love to do and our partner loves to do, and they don't necessarily meet.
I'm still trying to find what it is I love to do, so I'm happy just to amble along trying different things, because I don't know that I'll ever find the perfect hobby, because I don't know what that is.
Nikki, my wife, she loves to work in the garden, and I don't.
No, that's right. I mean, I like fixing things. If there's stuff busted, I'll fix it. I like getting little projects and doing those, and then once I've got them, I think I race through them super quick, and I just don't stop. Don't say they're done very well, but they're done.
Well, I'm going to congratulate you on providing us with a very nice whiskey today,
Yes.
this whippersnapper. Is it whippersnapper?
Yes,
Whippersnapper.
Yeah, and once the mics are off, I think we'll have another one.
Yes.
Cheers.
So this could be a good time to turn the microphones off.
Cheers.
So I'll see you next week, Harry.
Cheers, mate.
See ya.
Thanks.
It's the Whiskey Talking is written and produced by Craig Speelman and Harrie Swanson. All music is written and performed by Craig Speelman. The audio was recorded at the Wardrobe in Perth, Western Australia. We value your feedback about the show, especially any information you can provide on issues we've discussed that we can share with our listeners. We'd also love to hear any whiskey recommendations. Our email address is whiskeytalking@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. We all benefit profoundly from more listening.